It was nearly midnight when Sarah Williams sat at her small kitchen table, staring at her phone with trembling hands. The electricity bill lay in front of her, unopened for days, but she already knew what it said: final notice. Her 2 children, Lily and Max, were asleep in the next room, blissfully unaware of the storm cloud hanging over their home. Sarah, a single mother working 2 part-time jobs, had always managed to shield them from the worst of her struggles. But tonight, she felt like the walls were closing in. In desperation, she typed out a message. It was meant for her sister, who sometimes helped her with groceries when she could. I don't know how much longer I can keep this up. The kids need food, the lights are about to be shut off. I feel like I'm failing them. Her finger hovered over the screen, then hit send. She buried her face in her hands and whispered a prayer into the silence. What Sarah didn't realize was that the message hadn't gone to her sister. A single digit wrong, and it had landed in the phone of a man she'd never met. On the other side of town, Michael Lawson sat in his penthouse suite overlooking the city skyline. At 42, Michael was the definition of success, a self-made millionaire, investor, and philanthropist. People saw him as a man who had it all. Yet tonight, scrolling through his phone, he felt a hollow ache he couldn't quite explain. Then the message came through. At first, he thought it was some kind of mistake or even a scam. But something about the raw honesty in those words, the kind of honesty you don't fake, made him pause. He typed back, "I think you sent this to the wrong number. But, are you okay?" There was no reply. The next morning, Sarah dragged herself to work at the diner, tired and anxious. She hadn't noticed the follow-up text. But later that evening, when a knock came at her door, her world shifted. She opened it to see a tall man in a suit holding 2 large grocery bags and a gentle smile. "I think you sent me a message by mistake," he said. "My name's Michael." Sarah's first instinct was fear. Who was this stranger? But then she saw the bags: bread, milk, fruit, cereal, and even a box of her son's favorite cookies. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't understand. Why would you do this?" Michael's voice softened. "Because sometimes the wrong message reaches the right person." Over the weeks that followed, Michael visited again, never empty-handed, but never patronizing. He didn't throw money at Sarah's problems. Instead, he listened. He helped fix a leaky faucet. He read bedtime stories to Lily and played board games with Max. For Sarah, it was the first time in years someone had stepped into her world without judgment. For Michael, it was the first time in years he felt truly needed, not for his wealth, but for his presence. Still, Sarah struggled with guilt. One night, she told him, "I don't want charity. I want to stand on my own 2 feet." Michael nodded. "Then let me help you build the ground to stand on." The turning point came one Saturday when Sarah received a call from the diner. They were cutting her hours. She broke down, fearing she'd lose everything again. That's when Michael made an unexpected offer. "I have a small business project, a community cafe I've been meaning to start. I want it to employ single parents, give them fair wages and flexibility. Would you consider managing it with me?" Sarah was stunned. "Me? I don't have a degree. I don't even know where to start." "You have resilience," Michael said. "And heart. That's what matters." It wasn't easy. The first few months were filled with long days, paperwork, and mistakes. But Sarah threw herself into it, and slowly, the cafe began to thrive. It became more than just a workplace, it was a safe haven for other parents struggling like she once had. One evening, as Sarah stood in the bustling cafe, watching her kids laugh in the corner and other families sharing meals, she realized something. The desperate message she had once thought was a mistake had been the beginning of her miracle. Months later, she asked Michael why he'd shown up that first night. He smiled thoughtfully. Because I know what loneliness feels like. I built walls of success, but they never kept the emptiness out. Your message reminded me that real wealth isn't what we keep, it's what we give. Sarah's throat tightened. You changed our lives. Michael shook his head. No. You changed your own. I just opened the door. Years later, the cafe became a chain, known for hiring struggling single parents and giving them second chances. Sarah went from surviving paycheck to inspiring others with her story. And every time someone asked how it all began, she would smile and say, "It started with a wrong message, that reached the right heart."